Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Astrology Startup Guide, what I'm affectionately calling the Newbie Startup Guide. If you are an astrology newbie, this is exactly where you should start. You don't need to know absolutely anything about astrology to get started right here, other than your birthday. And I highly, highly recommend that you take the time to get an accurate birth time so that way you can get everything out of astrology possible. If you don't know what time you're born, let me know and I can kind of go over your options as far as getting that information. Most people receive this through their baby book or through their long form birth certificate. They might have something like me where my grandma made something that was just for the baby shower. And actually, I'm noting now that that's weird that we had a baby shower after I was born, but I won't get into that. Basically, it had a little bonnet on it and it said Shanae, born at 1:12 a.m. So that's where I found mine. But anyway, all you have to do is know your birthday, and I will help you go from knowing literally nothing to not feeling like a newbie anymore. You'll know how to find information, even how to use it. So let's get started. My name is Shanae, and I've been studying astrology since 2010, so it's been a really long time for me. I got more serious about it in 2020. I think a lot of people were looking for some information about what the hell was going on, and so I got a lot more serious about it then. So I'm a Taurus sun and a Scorpio moon, so I was born during a full moon, and I have Capricorn rising. So when I was born, the moon was as high in the sky as it could be. I'm 32. I'm obviously an astrologer, but I'm also a photographer. I didn't include that many of my photos in here, but I do have plenty. I have a great portfolio. I've kind of stopped doing portraits at this point, and I'm more interested in doing stuff for myself. Otherwise, I love fashion and I'm a writer. You can follow my blog if you, for some reason, have no idea that I have one. It's just shanaesmith.com. As far as my personal life, I like to support pit bull rescues because we just lost mine last December, but I really, really love them. And so I support them. I also really like to support Alzheimer's research because we did lose my grandma to that, and then her mom and her mom. And usually when I see a panhandler on the side of the road, I give them some money. So that's what I like to do to kind of give back. Of course, there's other ways, but those are the top three that I like to do. Otherwise, for fun, I like to watch way too much YouTube. I love go-karts and movies and games and sitting on patios and thrifting. And obviously, as a Taurus, I love food. But that's enough about me. Let's get into what you can expect for this course. So, my approach is a more grounded and not so mystical approach. I'm not saying that I'll never use the word energy or things like that, but I like things to be a lot more grounded and rooted in reality. So, those are my priorities when we're discussing astrology, is to make it a lot more applicable to real life. I also prefer a more stoic and calm process. It is very easy, and we're going to talk a little bit about existential dread. It is very easy to start getting really panicked when you start bringing in fate and free will. So, we're going to talk a little more about that too. I like to focus on more the process that's unfolding instead of it being like, this is the way that it is and there's nothing else you can do. I don't care for that. So I like it to be a little more stoic, and I'm a lot more oriented towards reflection. I love journaling, and if that's not for you, it doesn't mean that you're not going to like this course or anything like that, but I really do approach it with a more reflective and inquisitive perspective as opposed to something like I was saying that's just very fear mongering and panic based. So we're going to try to avoid that. My philosophy, just so you know, is that as far as fate and free will, of course, in order to really believe in astrology, you sort of have to be open to the fact that there are some things that are outside of your free will. So if that doesn't sit well with you, keep going. Don't give up now. Just kind of let this information ruminate, okay? So, but I do believe in free will, absolutely. I do believe that we have some control over what's going on in our lives. I think our choices do matter. So that's kind of my philosophy. I think that astrology is more than a social science. I don't think it is the same as psychology. I don't think that it's like it's just psychology on steroids or anything like that, but it is a social science, and it is sort of susceptible to some of the same problems that a social science like psychology or sociology or any behavioral science could be, but it's more than that. In fact, astrology rhythms are like clocks and even more similarly, barometers. So, we're going to talk more about this in the philosophy behind astrology, but time itself has an inherent quality. And so, because of that, no one person or event is going to be perfect. It's not going to be without challenge. And every single person and event and business and process as a whole is going to be unique. Even twins are unique. And that's part of where that free will kind of may come in. But I personally think that astrology is the most powerful self-development tool that there is. And I think knowledge is power. Like I said, existential dread is a normal part of your self-actualization and astrology. So if that starts coming up, don't panic. It's just part of the process, we'll say. The foundation of this concept, in my opinion, is the central truth that the holistic you inside is seeking fulfillment, joy, and success. But you are not immune to challenge or conflict. And learning astrology will not make you be able to control everything. It will not allow you to be immune to uncomfortable processes that are unfolding, and you will not be immune to challenge and conflict. That being said, I believe that having the knowledge, like I said, knowledge is power. Having this information will help you be a better person, a better friend, and all over a lot more confident in what is going on in your life. Of course, you have to make that choice. So, knowing astrology is not going to make you a good person. Knowing astrology can make you a better person. It can make you a more aligned person, and it can make you a way more self-aware friend. So, let's get into kind of what to expect. So, the contents of this course is going to be, first, we're going to go over tools. We're going to talk about resources, applications, and tools, things like websites and tables and stuff like that. We're going to go over the astrological alphabet, of course. I'm sure even if you know literally nothing about astrology, you're aware that it's involving the planets, signs, might even be aware that there's things like elements like earth, water, fire. What else did I forget? Earth, water, fire, air. There's angles and there's aspects. Those you may not be as familiar with if you're starting from ground zero, but that's okay. You're going to learn the astrological alphabet with me. Also, you'll get a natal chart tour. Now, you can get a personalized version of this if you're interested. All you got to do is go back to my Snip feed page and you can purchase a personalized natal chart tour for only $24. It's not very expensive, but if that's not in your budget or you're not feeling up to that right now, that's totally fine. This natal chart tour is just going to be a tour of my chart. So that way you'll see all of the different components and you'll feel a lot more confident looking at your own. And then we're going to talk about astro.com, which I believe is the best software to start with, and what an ephemeris is. We're not going to worry about what that is right now, but it's just a table of placements. So those are kind of the most common tools. So we're going to go over tools to help you get really acquainted with even starting. After that, we're going to go into more strategy. This is going to be strategy of understanding your own chart and how you can even get any value out of it without learning all of astrology. So we're going to first talk about the philosophy behind astrology. This is more of what I was talking about, that fate versus free will and what the inherent quality of time is. We're also going to move on then to the multifaceted true self. This is going to talk about the angles and the personal planets, which if you're starting from ground zero, you might be like, what the heck does that even mean? Well, the multifaceted true self is kind of what it sounds like. You have lots of different aspects to yourself that are all true and real, but some of them are important at some points and some of them are important at others. So we're going to talk about what it means to have this big conglomeration of true selves. After that, we'll talk more about priorities, goals, and motivation in the birth chart, and this is going to be kind of about the house categories. So the entire natal chart is a big circle map, and there are 12 different sections kind of discussing different parts of your life. And when you look at the chart, you can kind of see what are the priorities, goals, and motivations of this person. After that, you'll need to know kind of how to compare and contrast. So that way you're not just like, it's not a cookbook. Unfortunately, there's a lot of nuance to astrology. And so you will need to know which things are relevant, which things are not, which things are When we say good, are they extremely good or are they just not bad? Right? So we're going to talk a little bit about comparing and contrasting. After that, we're going to kind of talk about what are we going to do next. We're going to have kind of a real talk, like I was saying kind of earlier. You're not going to be immune to things. You're not going to be able to control things. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the ethics and the etiquette of being part of the astrology community. I think there's a misunderstanding that the times of, I don't mean to be dramatic, and I don't think that we're going to be burned at the stake, but having astrology and easy access to it is not just a given. So we need to actually act in a way that preserves the astrological community, and it is very serious. After that, we'll talk about studying time. And I don't mean studying time, I mean studying time itself. After that, we'll talk about understanding cyclical time, which will help you understand a lot more about the processes that are unfolding in your life and help you understand what priorities will matter now and soon versus what will become more important later. After that, and or just now, I guess we don't really need to dive too far into this because I need to let you know what's not here. So this is pretty much the only time, I think, unless there's a couple one-off situations where I'm going to say, hey, this is not what's included. I'm not going to give you a full astronomical phenomenon breakdown. There's not going to be a lot of traditional astronomy in here. We might mention every once in a while this cycle is similar to the full moon or the new moon. But other than that, we're not going to talk that much about science in an astronomical perspective. We're also not going to have full fundamental lessons. This is not a place where if you want to become an astrologer, this is not really the fundamental course for you. It's basically like, I want to get started using astrology for me, for my clients, or for my friends and family, but I'm not really looking to become an astrologer. If you're looking to become an astrologer, go for a year-long course, go and look into Kepler University, go and look into something that's going to give you this fundamental lesson. This is going to give you the ability to use astrology without learning all of it. So there will be no full fundamental lessons here. Can't teach you every technique, right? I'm not going to be able to teach you all the comparison techniques for people or for events or for transits. I can't teach you all the timing techniques. I can't really go in and really tell you, hey, here's exactly all the techniques that you can know, because I don't know if you realize this, if you're a brand new astrology enthusiast, but people spend decades, and I mean 50 to 60 to 70 years studying astrology. So you're certainly not going to find every timing technique or comparison technique here. The other thing you're not going to really get is a psychological or horoscope quip about the native. If you've looked at astrology at all, you may have found oh, I can Google what sun in Taurus means. And they're going to give you some general cookbook readouts that say people with sun in Taurus are stubborn. People with sun in Taurus crave beauty and they love great food. We're not going to be talking about that kind of stuff here, okay? If you want that, great news. I'm going to teach you how to locate that information, but I'm not going to give you a bunch of arbitrary cookbook style horoscope quips. It's not what this is about. So none of that, all right? So let's talk about the goals of this course. So the goals of this course are tool mastery. I need to give you the ability to have a resourcefulness as your priority. You are not going to stand at the top of this hole that is astrology. Let me tell you, it is decades long study. So you are not going to stand at the top of this hole and ask people on free forums and on Facebook and whatever in groups to feed you, to spoon feed you information. That is not what you're going to get. You do not want to stand at the top and hope that somebody is going to give you spoon feeding all of these little details and information. Is it wrong to ask questions in this group? No. Please do that. But it's only because you need to develop a priority of resourcefulness. It is important that you develop your ability to know where to look. All right. Oh, looks like I need to fix this. But for your natal chart, we need to know where natal chart fluency. We need to know what pieces show what details. So that's what I'm looking for you. Tool mastery and natal chart fluency. So those are the two goals that I have for you for this course. So thank you very much for getting started. I'm so excited that you are taking this first step in this literal personal development goldmine. It is absolutely, in my opinion, second to none. Going forward, for support purposes, if you are someone who uses Facebook Messenger, you are absolutely welcome to message me if you're needing help around your emotional well being and that existential dread that I was talking about. It is a normal process. I'm sorry to tell you. It is a normal process to feel some emotional triggers being triggered when you're going through this. If you need help, please reach out to me. I am not a psychologist, I'm not a medical professional, but if you just need someone to talk to work through what the heck you're reading about yourself, and if it's feeling really heavy, please come to me and let me know. Now, that being said, if you just have normal course questions, if you're going through, like, especially in the very beginning when you're like, maybe you're a why person. I knew someone like this. They were like, I have to know why. Why? Why is it like this? Why does it work like that? Look, you are not going to be able to have that in the beginning, but I still want you to let me know what questions are coming up. That way, in future versions of this course, I can actually include them when it is important and relevant. And if a lot of people have the same questions, then they can see it. So in the Discord server, go into the lesson for the Newbie Startup Guide, right? And then let us know what your questions are there so that other people can be like, yeah, and actually that question made me think of this question. So that way we can really facilitate a community of curiosity. So that way this course can really help move people from absolutely brand new to not really feeling like a newbie anymore. All right, well, that is everything that I have for you in this lesson. The next one is going to be your astrological alphabet, which is going to be kind of the foundation that you're going to need in order to know what in the heck is the first step. So if you have anything that you need, let me know on the support channels. If not, I will see you in the next one.